I have a garden greenhouse update for you. It's not good. A few weeks ago, I posted on my Instagram stories that I had walked into the greenhouse and found that most of the greens, especially the brassicas, had been decimated. I know that this time of year, there's kind of only 3 things that it could be. I had seen a couple of slugs in the greenhouse before, and I figured that had to be it. With slugs, the best first line of defense is beer traps, so I put some beer traps out. I didn't end up catching anything. The way that you do the slug beer traps is you just get a shallow dish and you kind of bury it so that it's level with the top of the soil, and they are attracted to the smell, the yeasty smell of the beer, and they're supposed to just fall in and drown. When this didn't work, even though I knew I had a couple slugs in there, I started to wonder it could actually be snails or earwigs, and snails and earwigs aren't going to fall for the beer trap. So there's a couple other things that you can do if you've got slugs, snails, or earwigs in your winter garden. These are the most common pests that you're going to find when you're gardening in the winter because they like cool, damp areas. And I had to act quickly because slugs have 27,000 teeth. They have a lot of teeth, so it's something where they can do a lot of damage really fast. So let's run through what the best courses of action you can take are against these pests. Most of them are the same, whether you have snails, slugs, or earwigs, it doesn't matter. So first off is the beer traps. These are super effective according to you guys. I haven't really experienced that for myself just because in this particular case, it wasn't actually mostly slugs that I was dealing with. The next recommendation for dealing with slugs in your garden is usually salt. And the problem with salt is that even though it usually works for dehydrating the slugs themselves, it's kind of a cruel way to take them out. And importantly to a lot of gardeners, it can do some serious damage to your plants and your soil. Copper is really effective against slugs because it actually has the ability to electrocute them and shock them when they touch it, so they tend to avoid it. If you get copper tape or copper wire and put it around your plants, this is just a little bit more costly and time consuming to kind of get that all set up. And of course, what I'm going to recommend you do the most of is companion planting, which I have to say this was probably my biggest mistake in the greenhouse garden. There are certain plants that I could have put in that would have been okay even though the temperatures are going to drop in there, like chamomile and sage and oregano and a lot of these medicinal type herbs that would have repelled these pests in the first place. Because of how late in the season I discovered this problem, I didn't have time to plant those things before the slugs would actually have a chance to take over and decimate pretty much everything. Because I was working in a limited amount of time before they destroyed everything and I really couldn't replant it because of how late in the season it is, I decided to take dramatic action, and this isn't something that I normally do. In fact, I've never done it before. So I am using an insecticide in my garden, which again, I've never done before. It's definitely a last resort option. The one that I found is totally organic approved. It's made of iron phosphate, which is something that's harmful to slugs and snails, but pretty much harmless to everything else. I'll put a link down below to the one that I'm using in my garden. And the way that this works is it's laced with some kind of bait that attracts the slugs and snails. It actually works against earwigs too, which is great because I'm pretty sure earwigs have been doing the majority of the damage on my plants, and it just comes in a pellet form that you kind of sprinkle throughout the garden. This is not my first choice. If I could have companion planted, I definitely would have started there. But in this case, with the limited amount of time that I had, I didn't really have a choice. But the fun didn't end there, because as soon as I got this slug, snail, earwig situation under control, I came out to the greenhouse to another horrific discovery. Can you tell I'm stressed out about this? I came in here, I pulled back this row cover, and I noticed that there was a lot of dirt on top of the plants, like they had been buried by something, and there was just this really weird oily, wet fur smell coming from the area. So pulled that row cover back further, and that's when I saw the tunnels. Now at this point, I didn't know what kind of animal the tunnel was from, and I'm not going to pretend like I didn't know that it was possible for animals to get in here, or that they'd want to, because of course they would. It's warm and full of food, and this time of year all these little critters are just looking for somewhere to kind of cozy up. So I totally get it, and this is my fault for not thinking about the fact that they would start coming in here as early as they did in the season. I thought I had a little bit more time before I'd have to deal with this problem. So at first I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. There were no droppings, they weren't eating any of the plants or even really disturbing them. They had just made kind of a tunnel and left for the day. I'm no stranger to having rodents in the house. We live in the country, we've got fields, we've got old barns all around us. We've dealt with mice before in the house, and the thing that's worked the best for us inside has been peppermint oil. It's all natural, it smells pretty good, although it can make your eyes water if you use enough of it. So my first line of defense in the greenhouse while I started making a more permanent plan was to spray with this peppermint oil spray. And I ended up saturating all the wood baseboards and the row covers and the wood chip path in the center. But I wanted to be careful not to get this on the plastic itself because it's an essential oil and it's highly concentrated. It can actually melt the plastic. I thought this has worked in the house. It's totally going to work here and there's nothing else I need to do. Well, it worked for one day. And then I came back out to more tunnels. There still wasn't a lot of damage. There wasn't anything that indicated to me that it was super gross. It was areas where I could just avoid eating those plants until they had a chance to grow back and make new growth that hadn't been touched by animals. But the tunnels didn't stop, and then after a couple more days, I did start to notice droppings. These rodents are disease vectors, especially where their droppings are concerned. We don't want them in a place where we're working or trying to grow things to eat. With those droppings, I was able to make a positive identity of these rodents, even though I haven't had a chance to see them myself yet. Because at first I had only seen the tunnels, I was able to determine that it wasn't something small like a field mouse or a chipmunk, but I thought it might still be a mink or a vole. The droppings, I was able to confirm that unfortunately it was the most common rodent pest that we see in our gardens, rats. Rats are a huge disease vector, so this was something that I had to take really seriously as fast as possible. Let's get into exactly what you can do to prevent rats in your garden. So first off, the best way to get rid of rats is to prevent them from coming in the first place, but unfortunately a lot of the times our gardens are just havens for them. They love the rotting food in your compost, the warm nests they can make under the layers of cardboard that you're using to make new beds. All of these things are going to attract rats to your garden, especially if it's a warm, cozy place like a greenhouse. So why did I hesitate to just do hardware cloth in the first place, and why didn't I just take care of this up front so it didn't happen? Basically, when I designed this greenhouse, we used these wooden boards along the long edges to hold that cattle panel in, but we didn't put any wooden boards along the back or the front wall because they weren't necessary. So these plastic flaps are just spread out on the top of the ground and they can move a little bit. They're not buried, and there's no exterior frame for us to swoop a piece of hardware cloth up against and keep it protected. So realistically, even on the sides, they could just climb that hardware cloth and chew through the plastic. So it just seemed like an unnecessary expense that wasn't going to provide me any additional benefit. At the end of the day, if they wanted to come in, they were going to come in. So I thought that the best way to prevent them was with this peppermint oil. Peppermint oil is known to be super effective against all sorts of rodents, but for some reason, and you guys have confirmed this for me in DMs, rats just don't seem to mind it as much as other rodent pests do. So even though I ended up spraying every available surface in here with peppermint oil to the point that my eyes were watering, it didn't have the effect that I had hoped on the rats themselves. Another recommendation I got from you guys was to use lavender oil. So again, this just comes back to providing a lot of scents that we know that they don't like to repel them from coming in the first place. Whether or not this is effective kind of depends on how determined the rat is. For our last food-based recommendation, you guys recommended I sprinkle chili powder around the outside of the hoop house. This is a totally harmless application that I'm willing to try. They don't like the spiciness, I guess. When they're digging through it, it gets up in their nose. So I am going to give this a try, but I'm not super hopeful that it's going to be as effective as I need it to be. I did end up just taking some leftover chicken wire that I had in my basement and burying it on one side of the hoop house just to test it out and see if it would work. Now, chicken wire isn't recommended for preventing rats because even though the holes aren't small enough for them to get through typically, they can just chew through it if they want to. It's yet to be seen if that works. If it does work, I'll probably pop it on the other long side too, at least to give me a little bit of extra protection without having to spend any additional money on the much more expensive hardware cloth. Had a lot of you tell me that I should bring my cats out here, and as much as I think it would be hysterical to see them roaming the greenhouse, at this point they're indoor babies, they're very pampered. I don't think they'd have the desired effect, and I don't really want to expose them to any diseases that might be present in those droppings. I am going to try sprinkling around some cat fur, and I'm going to put some used cat litter in a small box and just try keeping that out here and see if that helps at all. The most interesting recommendation that I got from one of you was from a reptile owner who told me that they have found that snake skins are excellent at repelling rats. So if you had a source for some snake skin, you could definitely try that as well. Another popular recommendation that I got was Irish Spring soap. I've heard mixed reviews about this one myself, so let me know in the comments if you tried this and it's worked for you. And then desperate times call for desperate measures, so we're going to get into my least favorite recommendations. As an animal lover, these are things that I'm going to be avoiding, and that's traps and poisons. You can get traps that actually unalive your rats, and you can get traps that are catch and release. And with either of these options, of course, you're dealing with the actual rats themselves, and depending on how many rats are present, this could be an ongoing issue that continues throughout the whole season. I really don't want to go down this route for obvious reasons. I'm honestly hesitating to do any of these suggestions because this greenhouse is a temporary structure. Putting more time, effort, and money into it just feels kind of pointless when the hope is that I'm going to be taking this down probably by early spring if things go according to plan to do some major landscaping renovations in this area. I would never ever tell you to use a chemical poison on your rat population. It's a very unpleasant, inhumane death, but also if other wildlife gets that rat, they're going to end up poisoned too. If you are going to go down that route, I would research into natural methods. I won't go into them a crazy amount here since it's not something that I generally advocate for, but some of the ones that you guys recommended to me were sweet potatoes, cornmeal, and baking soda, so maybe give those a try. As for what I'm gonna do in here, I'm still trialing out that chicken wire. It still smells like peppermint in here, and I'm gonna add the cat fur and the chili powder today and see how that goes. So make sure you're following along on IG stories so you don't miss any updates about that. And that's my current plan as long as things don't get worse. If they do get worse, I don't really know. I might end up having to pull these plants out and just stick some green stalks in here and hope that that works for the rest of the season. Let me know if you've had any luck with the suggestions that we talked about here today, or if you have any new ones for me as well. I'd love to hear them. And thanks for gardening with me. I'll see you next time.